I'm Gabrielle Settles, and you're watching TSE TV. Tonight, Wayne State President Roy Wilson and two members of the Board of Governors responded to open questions from students.
I think that this forum here allows the students to not only ask questions of me, but to our board of directors, because they ultimately have responsibility for the university.
Among tonight's issues, campus safety. In light of recent events in California, President Wilson announced that campus safety would be stepped up.
When you start becoming complacent, that's when things can happen. And I just wanted to make sure that the entire community understood that, we're doing everything we can from our end.
Later in the meeting, the university chapter of the National Lawyers Guild discussed food issues on campus, calling for the university to end their contract with Aramark.
What we're simply asking for is no Aramark. What that offers is two options. We can either insource it, which means to provide it through the school as an arm of the school, or we can outsource it using another contractor. We're not taking a position publicly on which we would prefer there. It's just that two things. One, anybody is better than Aramark. And two, that it should be done responsibly, not just this year, but in perpetuity.
Another issue brought up, W, the mascot. Some students say they believe the mascot should be changed.
I understand what they're saying because my son loves W because he's 7 years old. So I totally get why adults might not think that it's the most intimidating mascot ever. I totally get that. And, I certainly think it's something that we can talk about.
Trent also talked about concerns regarding the university's smoke-free initiative. As we first reported on the South Bend's website, the Native American Student Organization has been lobbying officials to create a space for cultural rituals.
I just talked to Dean Strauss, and he said that he, had they come to him first, it actually would have been somewhat easy to solve it because he feels that it would be very easy to accommodate them, and especially knowing that most of our public universities have already had exemptions. Certainly Wayne State wants to be very respectful of the culture of our students.
And supporters of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Club also voiced concerns, wanting to hold a space for their practices.
Right now, the club exists as a student organization, but what good is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club if you can't ever practice?
Although officials say that they would consider the feedback, some students say they had their doubts.
I don't think this is really doing much because 2 years ago they had this exact same meeting, and because nothing happened, you know what I started thinking? The reason why they do these meetings is so we can be positively reinforced and think we have a voice, and then we express our thoughts, and then we tell them, this is what we want, will you help us with it? And then they're like, oh yeah, we'll totally help you, we'll look into it. Then it goes to the board, and then over time it just sort of fades away and gets lost.
As always, for more news, find us online all the time at thesouthdend.wayne.edu. For TSE TV, I'm Gabrielle Settles.